If you guys don't have a fun little drink while you're watching this video, I highly recommend it because we're about to be yapping about the 36 books that I've read January through March. I also have a water because I'm the one who's yapping about these books. But technically I did read 34 books January through March, but I'm including 2 books that I just finished in like the first 2 weeks of April because they're part of a series that I started at the beginning of this year, but I just want to include them so I can talk about the series as a whole. But technically I read 34 books in the months of January, February, March. I'm just including 2 extras. I have a lot of fun books to talk about today, and also I do count audiobooks as books, okay? So do with that what you will. I'm gonna try to distinguish which books I listen to in audiobooks. I do count them as a reading goal, and I don't care to argue with anybody on that fact, okay? Starting off not very strong, we have the Covenant series by JLA. This series I did listen to fully on Audible because they are free on Audible. I don't know if it's only with a Kindle Unlimited subscription. I'm not too sure, but it was free on Audible, so I did listen to those. I listened to the first 4, and then I DNF'd it after that. I'm just gonna rate them a 3 overall. First book was interesting. The second book I did really like. The second book was my favorite out of any of them, and then it just got progressively worse. I just really could not care less about it. It is a YA fantasy series, and it was just fine. And that is the only time that I will be spending talking about that series. And then I read these 3 books from Ali Hazelwood. This is all 3 of her books from her like STEM romance standalone series type of thing. I obviously started off with The Love Hypothesis, and The Love Hypothesis is my second favorite, I think. This one's like a solid like 4-star. I think it was really good. I do really like Ali Hazelwood's writing because it's just like fun and quirky, and there's obviously that STEM aspect of it, which I really enjoy because I am in college, so I do like the academic aspect of it, I guess you could say. I am not in any medical STEM major, okay? I still really did enjoy this. And then I obviously read Love Theoretically, which is my favorite out of these 3, out of any of Ali Hazelwood's books actually. I've only read these in Bride, but this is my favorite so far of Ali Hazelwood. Absolutely love this book. I did not say a rating, but it is 4.75. Then we have Love on the Brain, okay? I listened to this mostly in audiobook. I read some of it. I don't know if that played a decent part in this, but I was really enjoying this book up until the end. Yeah, I'm gonna rate this 3.75. I think I have it as a 4-star on Fable, but I think it's definitely a 3.75. It was just kind of meh. I mean, it was good. I do really like her writing, but I just wasn't absolutely obsessed with this. And then we have Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. This was also a part of my 24-hour reading vlog, and same with Love Hypothesis. But this book is a part of the Crowns of Nyaxia series by Carissa Broadbent. I love her writing for one. The War of Lost Hearts trilogy is one of my favorite series to this day. I was really excited for this novella, and I don't know why, but it really let me down. I don't know. I did read it in the 24-hour reading vlog, so that could have played a pretty decent portion into why I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but it was just like fine to me. I don't know. It was kind of, I just didn't really see a connection with our main characters. I hate having any sort of negative review about a book, especially for an author that I love with a series that I love. I just wasn't obsessed with this. This is like a 3-star, I think. Just okay to me. And again, in the 24-hour reading vlog, I read the first 2 volumes of Heartstopper. I did thrift these, so they only had the first 2, so I just got the first 2. These books were just so cute. I'm rating these both 4 stars, like individually 4 stars. I just really loved Nick and Charlie. I haven't watched the series yet, which I really need to, but I don't know, I was just obsessed with these 2 books. It's just a nice little refresh, especially while doing my 24-hour reading vlog, but just in general, these books were just like a breath of fresh air, I guess. And then we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This one was such a fun, cozy, cute read. I think I'm set on like a 4.25. I'm not too sure where I lie with that. I guess I'll figure it out when I'm editing. Literally just Emily Wilde writing her Encyclopedia of Fairies. This was just so much fun, and obviously you can tell I have the second one right here that I've yet to read. These covers are also just gorge. This was just a fun little read. And then we have the last 2 books in the Natural series. This series is a YA mystery, and like I said, these are the last 2 books in the series. I just think that each book in the series just gets progressively better. This is a 4.75, and then this is also a 4.75. I rated this 5 stars at first because I read both of these in a reading vlog actually. I keep linking myself, but if you want to see full opinions of these books, that's why I'm stating what reading vlogs are in. But this was in my 24-hour readathon, and then this was in my finishing series that I'm in the middle of. In the video, I rated this one 5 stars originally. It was just a very satisfying ending. I just felt like I needed to give it 5 stars, but it didn't give me that like feeling, you know? I put everyone I can on this series. It is just so much fun. If you don't know, the series is kind of like Criminal Minds, but with teenagers. So each of the characters have special abilities, kind of. They're basically just really good at one specific thing, so like profiling, math, lie detecting, reading emotions, like that type of stuff. They start off with solving cold cases in the naturals program for the FBI, but then the cold cases turn into very much real cases. So it's just super fun and interesting, and like I said, the further you get into the series, the better it gets. It is so good. And then we have my Fourth Wing / Empyrean reread. I obviously reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame before Onyx Storm came out, and upon just sitting on it, Fourth Wing is still a 5 star to me because this just will not change it. I read it for the first time at the right time, and so it's just nostalgic to me, and it is a good romantasy. And the first book is definitely my favorite. And then Iron Flame, I did like it the second time around much more. And this book I'd say is like a 4.5. It was good. Again, I'm really bad at rating things as soon as I'm done finishing it while my emotions are really high. Rated this 5 stars both times, the time that I read it and the time that I reread it. It is not a 5 star book, although I did really enjoy it. There are just certain fantasy aspects that are a little bleh. Wasn't as good as Fourth Wing to me. And then I read, obviously, Onyx Storm. I have a reading vlog out for this as well. It is also split into non-spoiler and spoiler, FYI. This one I also rated 5 stars when I finished it. This is not a 5 star. I feel like it's on the same level of Iron Flame for me, so like 4.5. I don't know, just the more that I sit on this series, the more I kind of doubt how this series is gonna go almost. I really enjoyed certain parts of this book. I have read some complicated fantasies, some sci-fi, some high fantasy and high sci-fi, okay? And although I was confused in those books, I knew that that was a me problem because I was confused and it was just a lot. Slowly things just started piecing together and I wasn't confused anymore. This series is not complicated, okay? I'll just start off there. This series is not complicated. It does not have any new complicated concepts. It is not supposed to be hard to understand. But for some reason, it is written almost to be hard to understand. Like, it is written to be more complicated than it actually is. And it is actually frustrating me the more that I think about it. Because I feel like, again, unless it is a super complicated high fantasy with so many different elements at play, so many different magic systems, all this stuff, you should not be left more confused by the end of the book. You should have questions by the end of the book, but not confused on what just happened. I feel like the fantasy elements of this book is not written the best. The ending, I felt, was very much whiplash and could have been extended by about 100 pages. It felt so, again, whiplash, but also anticlimactic. I don't know, I just wasn't obsessed with this, and I feel like I don't have an unpopular opinion with this. So if you love this series and this book and all of these books, I love that for you. I do get it. I really do, because like I said, when I got off on the high of reading this, that was when I started thinking all these things. Like, when I was reading it, I was so into it, but then I just sat on it and I wasn't, you know? So, I mean, 4.5, that's not a bad rating, but I definitely, like I said, question how this series is gonna go. That's enough yapping about that series. Speaking of complicated high sci-fi, we have the most recent last 2 books of Red Rising. One more book coming out, but this is the last one that's out right now. So we have Dark Age and Lightbringer. These are both 5 stars without a doubt. Again, I have a reading vlog of me reading Lightbringer, okay? This series is so insane, unlike anything I've ever read. This is the first sci-fi that I've ever read, so that probably is why. But these books are just flawless flawless. It is a 6-book series so far, but there will be 7. The first 3 books of the series are kind of in their own little trilogy, and then he extended the series, which thank God he did, really. After that trilogy, it goes into Iron Gold, Dark Age, and Lightbringer, and it is so dark and devastating and beautiful, and just the friendships and the relationships, like that is what the series is about. It is about the relationships and how complicated they are and how beautiful they are, and that the most important relationships is not always romantic ones. Don't get me wrong, the romantic relationship that we get is so good, but it's not like romance, if that makes sense. It is just the non-platonic relationship. I don't know how else to describe that. The series is just so complex and so amazing and incredible, and I almost DNF'd the first book and almost DNF'd the series after finishing the first book, and man am I glad that I continued it. These books are also I fully listened to on Audible. I read them while I was listening to them. Like if I didn't listen to the audiobook, I would have been 1,000 times more confused, and I still was confused. See, this is what I mean. I was confused most of the time while listening to this series, but I still appreciated and loved it. You know, that's my comparison between the two. They are not at all similar, but I was confused most of the time, but I understood why. Like, I got that there was a reason why I was confused. I don't know. It is just the politics in this, the war, the battles, it's just crazy. I want to reread these books so bad, and like reread, not re-listen, reread and annotate and just see the things that I missed when I was confused. And then we have the last 2 books in the Prison Healer trilogy. I read the first one back in December, and then these 2 I obviously read. I read Gilded Cage in January, I think, and then I read Blood Trader in February. Gilded Cage is 4.25, and then Blood Trader is 5 stars. Annette Noni knows how to drop a plot twist in the middle of a chapter. It is actually crazy the amount of times it would just be a completely normal scene, and the next thing you know, you find something out and your jaw is on the floor. Same thing with the ending of her first 2 books. Yeah. You're just on your toes, and these books are pretty short, so it's pretty fast paced. The writing is easily digestible, but there's like royalty, there's politics, there's a magic system, there's a war, there's obviously the rebellion, and there's just so much going on, and it is so amazing. It's a new God tier series for me. I have found some amazing series just in this first quarter of the year. I am so surprised. I am absolutely obsessed with this series. And then we finally have a fluffy little romance after all of that, okay? This is Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez, and this is my second favorite book of hers. This is a 4.75. Just for the summer, it's still my favorite book by her. That is a 5-star forever and always. I actually DNF'd this book sometime last year. I was like 70-80 pages in maybe, and I just wasn't feeling it, so I DNF'd it, and then I decided to pick it back up because I was like, it's an Abby Jimenez book. There's no way that I don't like this book, and I can't just have it sitting on my shelf with the DNF, you know? So I picked it back up again, and thank God I did. The way that this man treats Vanessa is unlike anything. I'm like about to break this book. Adrian has set the standard for book boyfriends, okay? I just really love Abby Jimenez's books. Her books just always deal with something a little bit deeper than just a plain romance, which makes the people and the relationships just feel so real, and it is just so refreshing sometimes to read about real things in a book, because again, when you read a fluffy romance, which is what I'm in the mood for sometimes, it's just fun, but sometimes you want something that feels a little bit more real, and that is what Abby Jimenez's books feel like. So absolutely love this book. And then we have 6 of Crows. If you know me, you know this book has been pretty daunting for me. It's been sitting on my shelf for probably going on 2 years now. I just have not wanted to pick it up. I don't know why. And everyone has always told me, please Madison, for the love of everything, pick it up. So I did. I decided to listen to the audiobook of this actually. I read some parts of it, but it was mostly audiobook. And I was a little disappointed. I don't know if I was just checked out of this book. I really should not have read it when I did, but I just kind of wanted to get it over with. I am rating this 3 stars because I just felt like it was a miss for me. Again, I understand why people like it. If I ever have any bad reviews, unless I just straight up say, how would anyone read this? I understand why most people like books. Reading is all subjective. I just wasn't obsessed with it. I don't know. Again, I don't think I read it at the right time. I wasn't really in the story at all. I couldn't understand the setting of it, I guess you could say, and I just couldn't picture it very well. And that's a big part of reading for me, is being able to picture everything. So this was like fine, but I'm glad that I read it. I do want to read Crooked Kingdom just because it is on Kindle Unlimited and I like finishing series. I don't like leaving it unfinished, unless like the Covenant series where I just can't do it anymore. Maybe I will read it eventually, but this book was just kind of meh to me. I don't know. And I did read 2 books from a series I will talk about later, but after I read those 2 books, I actually read Wild Side by Elsie Silver. I am someone who loves Elsie Silver's books. I haven't read her first series, the Gold Rush series. Is that what it's called? But I love Chestnut Springs, and I've loved the first 2 books of the Rose Hill series, specifically Wild Eyes. I absolutely love that book. It was a 5-star, but I don't know if I just wasn't in the mood for a romance or what, specifically a spicy romance, but this book fell so flat for me. I read the first few chapters and then I listened to some of it on audiobook, and then I read some of it and I listened to some of it on audiobook, and then I ended up just like switching completely to listening to it on audiobook, and I actually DNF'd this book. The reason why I DNF'd this book was I just felt like I was fully wasting my time reading it. Just wasn't loving it. I DNF'd it with like 70 pages left, mind you. Could I have finished it? Yeah. Including this as I read it, because I literally had like not even 10% left. I just couldn't do it anymore and I wasn't wasting my time on it. I am trying to get better at DNFing books when I just don't feel it. And I do not DNF books. I usually soft DNF books, but when I'm that far into a book, I will just finish it. I just couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to leave a 2-star rating just because I wasn't in the mood for it, but I just really did not like this book. I have never rated an Elsie Silver book less than 4 stars. DNFing this book is a lot for me, and I just did not feel a connection between our characters. The spice scenes felt so not great. Then we have Sunrise on the Reaping. This book is a no-brainer 5-star. Literally 2 days after I had finished this book, I went through and tabbed all of my underlines. I was like annotating while I was reading, but I didn't really tab it, but I literally couldn't stop thinking about it, so I had to go back and reread my underlines and then go tab it. This book was absolute perfection. Perfection. Yep, I can't talk about it anymore, so we're gonna move on. And I read my book club pick for March, and that was Rebel Witch. This is the 2nd book in the Crimson Moth duology. I really did like this. It was a solid 4 stars. It was just a fun little YA romantasy. The first book had that forbiddenness, and then something happens to where there is even more of a we can't be together type of thing in this, and so the tension is just so good. It is just really fun, and it's a good fantasy. It feels like a very well-rounded world, magic system, and just everything. It just was very, very well written and well thought out, and it was just a very solid duology. I definitely recommend it. Okay, and then we have the House of Devils series. So I read all 3 of these books. Read the first one back in like February, I think, the second one in February, and then the 3rd one in March. To get into the House of Devils series. So the first book is City of Gods and Monsters, and I think I'm sitting at a 3-star for that book, maybe 3.25 to give it a little bit of justice. And then the 2nd book, City of Souls and Sinners, is like a 4.25, maybe 4-star. I don't know. I'm still undecided on all of my ratings. You'll find out when I edit this. The 3rd book, City of Lies and Legends, that's also like a 4.25 maybe. This series was good. I feel like I'm the only one that I've seen that isn't fully obsessed with the series. Like, I don't know if it's a me problem or what. Like, now I'm obsessed with it and I can't wait for the next book to come out, but I just kind of, I don't know, I didn't really get the hype. So if you don't know what the series is, it is for one on Kindle Unlimited, which is always a plus. I also listened to the audiobook for most of each book, which was fully unnecessary. Series is an adult urban fantasy. Have phones, they have guns, they have different species of beings, they have demons, they have all of these things. So compare it to Crescent City just a little bit because it does follow similar plots. I do think that this story is very unique to itself, but If you want the vibe of Crescent City, this will be where it is, and vice versa, I guess. But I guess I didn't realize just how spicy these books are. I knew that there was smut, okay? Like, I was fully aware of it, but I didn't realize the extent that it was at, I guess you could say. Just like how often it was in there. The first book had like some, like it was in there, but it wasn't really the full part of it. And then the second book, the first like probably 400, 500 pages was just that. So me rating the second book 4 stars was generous, and I didn't think I was going to be rating it 4 stars. I honestly was going to DNF the book, but then the back half of the book really sold me. It got really, really, really good, and we finally focused on the plot. Crazy concept, right? More than the romance. So it is very, very, very heavily romance. If you don't like fantasies that are like that, I do not recommend the series, but if you do like that and that is your cup of tea, then this series is 100% for you. This just kind of overdid it for me, personally. On my personal level, it just overdid it a little bit, and it wasn't like, it just didn't add to the plot whatsoever. I literally was like, because it would be like a full chapter. It was absolutely ridiculous. I feel like 80% of them could have been cut out. Like the second book, I feel like could have been cut down by easily 200, 300 pages. And then we have the Windy City series, except for Mile High. I did skip Mile High. Okay, sue me, I don't care. I did just finish Play Along. So that was one of the books that I finished in April, but I'm including it just so I can talk about the series as a whole. So first we have the second book, skipping Mile High. We have The Right Move, and that is a 4-star. And then we have Caught Up, which is a 5-star. I'll get into it. And then again, I just finished Play Along, and that is a 4.25. So this series is an interconnected standalone romance. They do kind of coordinate with each other. Like there's like weddings that happen in the books for the previous couple, you know? So the first book is about Ryan Shea. I love Ryan Shea. And then Indy, and she is a bundle of sunshine. She is a hopeless romantic, and then we have the opposite, which is Ryan Shea, and he does not believe in dating or love or anything like that. And I just really love their dynamic together. And then we have Caught Up. So Caught Up is my favorite, obviously. It's about Kai and Miller, and Kai is a single dad. He is also a baseball player. Miller is the daughter of Kai's coach, and Miller is a baker, and she is a Michelin star baker. She is just very known in the culinary world. So she comes home for the summer. Kai, who is a single dad, he has a son, just fires nannies left and right, and so he needs a nanny so he doesn't retire, whatever. So Monty hires his daughter as Kai's nanny. We can see where that goes. Kai and Miller is a real couple in my head. Like, they are real to me. I personally love when there's kids in books. Sue me. I love when there's kids in books. Play Along is the most recent one that's out, and this is everyone's favorite book in the series. It wasn't my favorite, it was my second favorite. I just finished this yesterday, actually. It's about Isaiah and Kennedy. So Isaiah is Kai's brother from the last book, and he is also on the same baseball team. Kennedy is the PT for his team, and Isaiah's been in love with her ever since he ran into her when she first got the job, like several years ago. There is the fake dating / fake marriage trope. I just really love these books as they go on, because you see the characters from the other books, and there's like a friendship and like a found family being built around it, and it is just so freaking cute. So freaking cute. And last but certainly not least, we have The Ember and the Ashes Quartet. This book was one of the books that I just finished, but again, I'm including it since the series is now finished. This has made it to my like top 5 favorite series. I am so obsessed with this series. It is so good. First of all, the covers of these books I will never get over. They're beautiful. I love the colors. This is obviously the first book, and this is a 4-star. In this world, there are marshals and there are scholars. There are also other people, but that's kind of the way that it's split up. And there is also like a rebellion going on with the scholars against the marshals. And so Laya has to get involved with the rebellion because she has to save her brother, and they said, if you do this for us, we will help save your brother while you do this. In return, she becomes a spy for the rebellion, and so she becomes a slave for the commandant at the martial school. Then we have Elias, who is in said martial school to become a mask and to fight as a marshal, but he is also against what the empire stands for. So it's very interesting following two point of views between a slave scholar and then a marshal who doesn't agree with what his people are doing, basically. This is very much a fantasy with a subplot of romance. Do not go in this wanting a romance. Although the romance is beautiful, you have to go in wanting an amazing fantasy series. Kind of the gist of the first book. And then we have the second book, A Torch Against the Night, and this is 4.75. I loved this book so much. Honestly, might even be a 5-star. I can't decide if this was my favorite book in the series. I know this is a lot of people's least favorite or second to least favorite. The series does kind of get better as it progresses. Love when there's traveling and they're like on a quest, I guess you could say. So I just really love this one. A lot of people found it slow, but I personally loved it. And then we have A Reaper at the Gates. This one is 4.5. And then last but certainly not least, we have A Sky Beyond the Storm. This one is a 5-star. For sure. It was just so gut-wrenching. Like, the entire time I was reading this book, I was like, can anyone get a win? Genuinely, can anyone get a win? And that was how I felt this entire book. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. It just does not read like a YA fantasy. Like, when I think of The Prison Healer, I love The Prison Healer, do not get me wrong, but that's just a fun little fantasy. Like, it's just a fun little YA fantasy. This is not a fun little YA fantasy. No, it's not. Such a good fantasy series. Craving a fantasy series that would make me feel the same feelings I had while reading the War of Lost Hearts or Throne of Glass. That's actually it. Is this my top 3? I think this might actually be my 3rd favorite series. Or 4th. I don't really know where ACOTAR falls, but I wanted the same feeling that I got when I read my favorite series. If you take one thing from this video, please read The Ember and the Ashes Quartet. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this little quarterly wrap up. I'm gonna try to do monthly wrap-ups. I just didn't for the past 3 months, but I'm gonna try to get into it again. And I would also love to hear what your favorite books so far have been this year. I'm just always wanting to add stuff to my TBR. So let me know what your favorite reads are. Add more to this humongous pile. If you guys want to keep up with my reading throughout the year, my Goodreads and Fable are always linked below. My book club is also always linked below. It is on Fable for free if you guys want to join. With all of that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.